That's a pretty simple reason, hey, why dogs pull on leash. Dogs are excited by the environment and they really just want to go see everything. So I'm going to go over how to go from this to this. Training tools that you will need: a 4 to 6 foot leash. For mild pullers, a Freedom No Pull body harness. For strong pullers, a head harness. Healthy treats because you may end up giving quite a bit. And last, a clicker. Regularly exercising to give them the freedom to run and be a dog is critically important for successful walking. By allowing your dog to have the off-leash time where they can run around and take the edge off physically, you are setting yourself and your dog up to succeed for a better walk when you do go out. They won't have the pent-up energy wanting to burst out. Walking is exercise, but if they're pulling, it's a double-edged sword. We want to exercise them, but if the dog is only getting structured walks as their main form of exercise, you will struggle with loose leash walking for a longer period of time. Make it easy in the beginning and try not to take your dog to bustling areas where not only does your dog have to suppress the urge to pull, but also has to suppress the urge to go say hello to everyone and not pull for every wonderful brand new scent there. Okay, come on. Sniffing is a really important behavior for dogs to do. It's very natural, especially scent hounds that really, that's what they're bred to do, is to sniff and find scent. So it's very overwhelming and it's the biggest distraction. But we have to take into account of our dog's needs. Again, this walk is not solely for the human, it is 50% for the dog, and you do want them to enjoy. However, at the same time, if your dog is sniffing and pulling you forwards, of course, we're not going to be like, okay, that's totally fine to sniff. That's not what we want. But we can still train them that they're allowed to sniff possibly when we allow them, so we can give them a cue to go and sniff at every block or every half block where we can stop and they have that complete range. Or what you can do is what I do. I teach them to sniff, but at the same time, if they start pulling, I pull into the training. I stop moving and I'm like, we're not going any further until you stop pulling. So it's actually a negative punishment. The dog does not get what he or she wants if they're pulling. Humane techniques to use to teach your dog how to walk. The clicker method, which is the proactive approach. This technique is focusing on rewarding the good behavior and interrupting the dog before they can pull on the leash. What the click does is teach the dog that the behavior that they're doing at the moment is good, and when trained for long periods of time, the slowing down for the treat starts to become muscle memory. The dog will automatically start interrupting themselves because it pays off. There you go.
Good boy.
Nice.
Come on, Boomer. Boomer. Good boy.
This will help using treats that hold their shape and don't crumble when touched. Yet they should be smelly and enticing to the dog that you're working with. For loose leash walking, you really should be using healthy treats for it due to the fact that you may use quite a bit in the beginning. You can even use kibble mixed in with some smelly treats such as the ones I'm using, or even pepperoni or something else that holds its shape. This is the stop and go approach, which is a reactive approach to training. This technique is focusing on taking away what the dog wants for the undesirable behavior. We stop moving to communicate to the dog that the behavior won't get you what you want. Once the dog loosens up on the slack, we move again. Communicating that there's no tension, you move forwards. Humane training equipment can definitely help, especially if you have a dog that pulls and pulls. A head halter or a front clip body harness can give you those extra moments you need to pull training out. However, using the equipment shouldn't be forever. They are used to help you with the difficulties during training. The head harness is a self-correcting tool that when the dog pulls, their head is turned away from the fun, so the dog learns not to pull. The body harness does the same as the head harness, but from the chest area, pulling their body sideways if they pull on the leash. It can be very beneficial for on and off pullers. Weaning the dog off the equipment. For strong pullers, you will go from a head harness, and when they aren't pulling and you see that they're giving a slack leash, you will move to the body harness. When you see the dog isn't pulling on the body harness, you can start reintroducing the collar or a back clip harness, which is my preference. Now, I think there's a huge misconception out there that your dog should be walking right beside you in a heel position for long periods of time. And I definitely do not believe in that. And I really do think that dogs, they have natural instincts, and I do think that they need to be satiated. The one big problem with when you're trying to keep your dog right by your side for an entire walk is you're forcing that dog to cope with so much visual stimuli. And you're teaching that dog that you need to suppress every single ounce of instinctual behavior and natural behavior to walk with me. What happens here is you stop the dog from de-stressing himself on a walk, which is natural behavior such as moving freely and sniffing the ground and doing as he pleases, and you're going to start finding that your dog is going to be more reactive. Your dog can definitely become overstimulated and overwhelmed, and at the same time very, very frustrated, because a lot of the time we do rely on our walks for the majority of our dog's exercise. We don't necessarily always take our dogs to an off-leash park or an off-leash area where that dog actually has the ability to run free. So a walk, again, should be 50-50, 50% for the owner and 50% for the dog. Remember, there is a balance. Enough freedom to satiate the dog's needs, which is maybe once a day, and then one structured walk or 2 per day. You could even start with some freedom at a field for 15 minutes with a long line or at a park that allows off-leash. Then you can go for a walk pulling into the structured training, and then possibly off-leash again for some good behavior. Remember that if your dog is pulling, they're learning. Loose leash walking takes months to a year to be 100% successful in all environments, and be patient. Set your dog and yourself up to succeed. And do not feel like you have to resort to aversive tools in order to get your dog in control. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to my channel to stay up to date with new tutorials, tricks, and videos. And if you have any questions about this video, please leave them in the comments section below.